What's up? Now, I ain't the one to gossip, but from what I understand, there is a person who tweeted and they're in this process of some feelings after an intimate part of a partnership has broken down. And it appears there are some co-parenting concerns hinting at narratives around truth and image and how the child may one day see what happened. Now, the tweet caught my attention because I was thinking, why would we want our baby daddies to fail, right? Now, of course, if it's on the gossip platform, then we might want to frame it as emotional fallout. And us as the audience are taking the opportunity to debate, well, who sold who a dream? Was it him or was it her, right? Or, oh, we knew that was going to fall apart. But whatever the case, I want to talk about mental colonization because it doesn't have to be just political. It can be relational. In a nutshell, mental colonization, it's when your mind becomes occupied with narratives that don't really belong to you. So, what happens when our children inherit narratives that do not belong to them, okay? A mom saying, oh, my son will see the truth one day, right? In the space of being wronged by the dad, that definitely sounds protective, but I think it also raises deeper question of how much of our children's reality is shaped by wounds that we haven't decolonized, right? In my opinion, this was something that was missed with Kanye West and his TMZ rant about slavery, if you remember that a few years ago. But that's entirely a different conversation, sort of, because mental colonization is not always going to be about chains and systems. Sometimes it's just about beliefs, right? Beliefs about love, beliefs about worth and self-worth, beliefs about what we should and should not tolerate. So when our mind is occupied by pain that we've normalized, right? Something that manipulates us, we romanticize manipulation, we've been loyal to a fault, which is really to dysfunction, then we could be mentally colonized. And the wild part is children often inherit that whole map, okay, before they get to choose what territory they want to be in. So the question is, and I'm a parent myself, can we handle raising free thinkers who may not take our side in that split, who may not experience the same emotional wounds we did with the other parent? Or are we so concerned with winning or saving face that we're willing to pass down emotional empires to our children that they don't deserve, which breaks down our relationship with the other parent? Why would we want our child's parent to remain stagnant, to be a failure, to show up and not show out, to fail them, right? It's a W, but it's a wounded, not a wise and not a win. Because the other parent, if they grow, the child benefits from that, right? The family system benefits, and a cycle has a chance to break, where I was talking about these generational curses. So let me share my unpopular opinion, because growth is threatening if your identity has been built around surviving somebody else's dysfunction, right? You don't get to point the finger anymore. And that's where mental colonization starts to sneak in on us. Not just that, oh, they hurt me, but who am I if that other person heals and they change their ways? What story do I get to tell other people, and what story do I get to tell myself then, right? Our kids are historians. Before they're ever adults, they're collecting all of this information about us, stories that they can critique but don't always understand. And if one parent is constantly curating the other as a villain, that becomes emotional inheritance. And here's the dangerous part. The hero parent is often just the one who got to tell the story first, not the one who was the most right, not the one who was most healed, just the one who had the mic, who had the ears that wanted to listen, right? Who decided who become, so where are we with deciding who becomes a hero or a villain? Usually what decides is not the person, it's the pain that they're experiencing, the proximity that they have to them ears, the power that they have, and the public sympathy that they're able to gain. It's not about the truth, okay? Truth is layered because sometimes maybe mom was the wounded person. Sometimes daddy was not doing whatever and was absent. Sometimes both people are immature. And a lot of the times, both people are working with broken tools and trying to fit them together, right? So that's the conversation, not necessarily who was wrong, but what did each of us as parents contribute to the emotional climate of our child? What is our child inheriting, right? That's accountability. Like I said, oh, I wouldn't be friends with my ex. You don't need to be friends with your ex, but there's a way that you need to communicate, right? That's decolonization, and that's breaking generational propaganda. I said this before because whatever my daughter needs from her father is not what I would. I want my person to be a partner. I'm asking the dad to be a partner, right? She wants the dad to be a dad. Those are not the same things, although there will be transferable skills in both of the relationships. We're not seeking the same thing. So why would I be upset that dad is being a good dad to our child? How does that make me upset that he wasn't a good partner to me? He ain't my daddy. He ain't my daddy. And it would be creeped out if he was trying to, is it like, what we really doing, right? So is it hurtful because you love someone and you want it to work out, and then you see the child is still in love with their other parent? Maybe it is, right? But they don't have the same experience with that parent. And so if the parent wasn't showing up for me, I would hope that the parent keeps showing up for our child, because why would I want them to be a deadbeat? Why would I want them to be a loser? Just so that I could be like, see, told you, he was a loser with me, he a loser with you. God darn it, no, he better not be a loser with you. It's all good with me. It's a different type of relationship, you know what I mean? So I'm going to do what I can to keep that relationship intact. I used to have this thing that I would say about one of my exes. It would be like, oh, your dad is such a beautiful person. Because it was, you have to realize that when you're saying stuff out loud, kids pick up on that thing, right? And because they're with you, if they happen to be with you most of the time, they're going to empathize with you, right? Well, that person's not around. They must be a bad person. They must be hurtful. They must be this, right? And I mean, not all women, but there's definitely some women who are keeping their child away from the other person. And the other person, maybe they're non-confrontational. Maybe they're tired of the fight. There's other people who are not tired of the fight, and they're going to go all the way. There's some people who are afraid of the court system. There's just all these little variables or whatever, right? And I do encourage you, if you are a male or you are a dad and you feel like something's being kept from you, continue. If you have to go to the court, you have to go to the court. You know what I mean? I would rather, trust me personally, I would rather not have to go to the court. But if that's the last resort, that's the last resort. Let your child know I'm definitely trying to do all that I can. And that's even difficult because you can't really discuss stuff like that with the kid. That puts things in their minds too. Trust me, I've had my own experience with the whole ordeal, right? Being on the other side, understanding how people might feel. So, and being I've been a difficult other parent before, boop, 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 boop. Not for me, but there was a time when my children acted like their dad was like one of my kids. Like, oh, if their dad doesn't do what they want them to do, I'm telling my mom, dad did it. Okay, because we talked. We both agree. Your dad and I both said you're not getting that. You're not doing that, or whatever, right? So it's like that thing. I've dealt with the stepmom thing. I don't care about stepmom as long as she's not doing anything to my child. I don't have any beef with her. She want to be a good stepmom, I'm all for it, right? Because usually you could call the stepmom and be like, oh, guess what? Kid didn't do this. So while they're over there with you, we still on punishment or whatever. I mean, I've had some non-cooperation or whatever. You could think that you're getting at me, but it's doing nothing, right? Not for me. It's doing nothing. If you put in the effort to have some type of relationship with your children, they're going to have some type of love for you. And they're never going to forget that. They're never going to forget those things. It's all that they have to hold on to. Even if you did some bad shit, right? Kids, for some reason, filter out the bad and they hold on to the good. And you become this superhero in their mind. So why would I want to ruin the superhero image? Only the other parent can ruin the superhero image that the child has in their mind. And my mom taught me that with my own parent, right? My dad used to be my superhero too. I did not know the guy, right? Not at all. I just knew stories about him because we come from, like, it's a everybody knows of everybody kind of place, right? So, you know, a lot of people know my daddy. Um, there's all these like family stories or whatever. So those are the things that I would hang on to. And then my dad used to send me things in the mail. And so those things are special to me as if my dad was like really, really there. It wasn't until I was older that I understood that, you know, my dad is who my dad is or whatever. He acts however he acts or whatever. And you just have to accept that. But before that, as a child, you couldn't even tell me anything. Like I said, I think I shared that before. I would ask my mom, oh, can you get my dad a watch for the, you know, I would want my mom to get my dad Father's Day gifts, not really understanding that he wasn't being fatherly. And, you know, it's the same thing. If my kids want to get something, they could get something. It really has nothing, it doesn't have anything to do with me. You know what I mean? They don't work, so they don't have money. I'm the one who has the money. You know what I mean? Now, we're not about to go ham with it. But, you know, you could get a little something for the dad. You know, you get a little tie, some socks or something, you know. But that's the thing. When I saw that and she's like, oh, my son is going to find out. I'm like, oh, hell no. I hope he does not find out. I hope this man does not fail his son in this way. Why would you want him to find out? You're just waiting to tell your son how this man did you wrong or cheated on you or did this or did that. The kids don't need to. They don't need to know all that. And they can develop their own feelings about getting a stepmom or a stepdad or whatever. They're going to understand that, okay, these two people are not together. But the adult stuff, that needs to be kept with the adult stuff. You probably know who I'm talking about, but there's not a gossip page, so I'm not going to name it. But the tweet is there.